So a couple days ago, I decided to redo the frame on my robot so I could put this new Hemisphere GPS on it. And while I was doing that, I thought, well, I may as well fix the steering while I'm at it. Well, that was the wrong thing to do. So anyway, a couple days later now, I've got the steering where I took off the original Super Servo, which was on it, and it can't really, you can kind of see how big that is. It's pretty big honking thing. But the problem is it doesn't have enough gain, so it doesn't track well enough. And I replaced it with one of these. You can either get these on eBay, or I bought one from mpja.com. And this is actually one from eBay here. And each one you look at, they're all a little bit different. But the one I got from MPJA seems to have the highest gain, and it might be a little faster. So anyway, I've got it mounted down in here. Here's the servo plate on the bottom of it. And it's just simply, I was able to pull out the one and put it in the other one. The other one's just mounted to this aluminum plate here, because on the front it's just got these little standoffs here. So I just screwed those to an aluminum plate and then put the plate back in where the servo was originally. It turns out vertically, if you look at this, I don't know if you can see this here, but see, can you? You're not going to be able to see this, but vertically they're not. Here, maybe if we get them close together like this. So if I were to mount them like I had, see, one is way shorter than the other one, but it turns out that if I put the plate on the other side of the my 3/4 inch square tubing that I made, then they come out about the same height. So it turns out I just mounted the plate on the opposite side of where it was, and then everything pretty much comes out the same, because what's inside of this thing is actually this stuff, and they just made a fancy box for it. It's just that the Super 200 was, I think, the first one they ever made, and they didn't get the bugs out of it, and I don't think they sell it anymore. So now you have to buy a Super 300 if you want one of those. So if I power this baby up here, let's see if I can do this. I've just got one of the little servo stimulators, whatever you call it. And I just turn that, and it just moves back and forth, and it goes from hard stop to hard stop without smashing anything, which is a good sign. Because that's on the back of the servo, it's got this. There's two pots on here, and one pot is for the range, so you can control it. If you don't do anything when it comes out of the box, it goes like 300 degrees back and forth. If you crank that down, I got it down to around. It's doing about plus or minus 90 right now. So if I run it all the way to one side, you can see that the bolt on the center there is sticking out the left side. Turn it all the way this way, it's basically sticking out on the right side. And I just now got it running before the meeting, and I can still adjust this to if it's not quite centered, I can adjust that mechanically. And I'm sure by the time I'm all done, I have to go into the software and say, here's the number for the center position, but it's not really in the middle, so I can just move that back and forth. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm basically at the point I think I can bolt this back in now and hopefully hook it up and then try it. So if it doesn't, if the signals coming out of my microcontroller are around the same as what's coming out of this thing, and I don't know, it's supposed to be, the standard is 1 to 2 millisecond pulse width, and I have no idea what this thing's actually putting out. I did measure it on my scope the first time I did this, and right now I just got to put back together, and if I just turn it, I could turn the knob all the way, and then the thing stops without smashing anything. So that's good enough for the moment, and then I'll have to, once I get stuck on there, I'll write some code or something to move it all the way to the left and all the way to the right, and then go from there. But this servo seems to be, I don't know if it's any faster than the Super 200, but it just did not have any gain, so it was just really sloppy, so it wouldn't track the position that you tell it, and that was getting to be really annoying. And like we talked about before, these things have right here is the back of the shaft coming out. See, it's got the big shaft here, and on the back they got the little shaft, and there's a pot on the back of this board. So I'm going to try soldering a wire onto that and measure the voltage and see if I can actually measure the position. So I tell it to go to a certain angle, then I can actually measure it to see if it really went there or not. So that's kind of where I'm at with that right now. And then hopefully by next time I can show you the the frame where I put everything together and got the GPSs mounted on top of it. So maybe by next time we do this, I can show that. So that's all I have on that right at the moment, I think.
So you wanted to replace that because you were getting a difference between your left and your right turn angle?
No, basically it just would not track. You know, it's just mushy. So you say it would. This guy on the internet that said here he tore one of these apart and he tried to fix it, and he said it's good to within about 10 degrees. And this one, if you look on the spec sheet, this one says it's good to within like 0.36 degrees or something. So the other one, it was just total crap. You know, Al keeps saying it works great for him, but I for what I'm doing, it didn't seem to be repeatable or track the way I wanted it to. And this one seems to be working better. And this is running on 12 volts. And if I have to, I could, if I really have to, I can put a boost converter in between there and crank it up to 24 volts. And it should run twice as fast. And I don't think I need any more torque at this point, but I haven't, you know, it's just sitting on the table right now, sitting on top of a peanut jar. So yeah, once I get it on the back on the robot, it may be heavy enough that I have to have more torque, in which case I might have to go to a 24 volt supply for it. But I'll see when I get that far.
Okay. I'm interested to see if the potentiometer on that servo gives you really accurate position.
Well, I'm sure the potentiometer itself gives an accurate position, but when I put 2 feet of wire on it and hook onto my microcontroller board, that's where it's picking up all the noise. So I'll have to see if that, you know, once I get that wire run out there, what that's going to do. Or the other option is put a microcontroller right next to the servo and do the A to D conversion and then send it back over serial or something. That'd be another way to do that.
Okay. I was told to shoot for at least like a degree of accuracy on your steering setup.
And since I went with an RC servo, I was kind of hoping that I could just say, go to 10 degrees and have it do that. But, you know, there's no guarantee that's actually going to do that. So it'd be nice to have the pot to tell you if it really is at the angle you think it is. And it's, you know, just like everything in ROS, they say, here's what I want you to do. And then they're constantly reading back, you know, either velocities or angles or whatever. So it knows whether it's doing what it told it to. So it's actually doing its computations of what it's reading back as opposed to what it's telling it to do. So that would be nice to add that in and be able to get that feedback. Another option would be I could put, you know, some other sensor right on. You know, I got various moving parts here, so I could put something on the center of that to read that as it turns. Or I got things that are moving back and forth. I could put some kind of a pot and an arm or something on there to pick that up. So there's various other things I could do, but for the moment, I'm going to go back to the assumption that if I tell it to go to a certain angle, I'm going to hope it does. And I think it's going to be more responsive and more drivable now than it was. And then when I get it all done, then I have to figure out how to get the steering to center itself, or to figure out what the center is.
And you said no feedback from that servo, you said?
There's currently not. No, it's just like a standard RC servo. You go out and you give it a pulse width and you expect it to go to that. Okay. Because normally when you're using an RC servo, say if you're flying an airplane, you know, you're running the joystick and your airplane's not going up where you're supposed to. You just push it a little farther.
But we were all saved by Dynamixel.
Yeah, well, I looked at those. They're way too expensive for me.
Like 500 or $1,000 bucks. What was this? 100 bucks?
If you don't buy them on sale, they're around $60 to $70. You get them on sale, they're like $45. And they seem to have plenty of torque. And I'll have some more comments after I do these experiments to know if it's really going to work or not. So,
will they be safe for work comments? Sorry.
Will it what?
Safe for work comments?
Well, maybe.
Blasted.
Which I was pretty happy this time around that as I move it back and forth, it doesn't actually bend anything. This shaft in the middle here. I don't know, can you see my screen? You can't see my mouse, can you? So anyway, this shaft got bent because this thing comes around. If it goes too far, it pushes on this and bends it. And if it runs up against a hard stop, then it starts, you know, the shaft will flex anyway because it's pushing and it can't go anywhere. So that'll cause problems. So I gotta be a little careful of that. I was thinking about just cutting off my hard stops here on the side, and just putting the micro switches. So if it goes too far, it'll just shut down. It won't be recoverable, but at least it won't smash anything. So then I can just go through and, manually push it back to where it's supposed to be, and then the power will come back on. So I might do something like that too. So that's all I got right now.
It's good progress.
Actually, is this going to work? I was going to pull out our new GPS to show it. I think we showed it on the lawn tractor meeting. And right now I've got a weird setup where I've got the camera on my monitor turned sideways. So we'll see if this works here. Okay, so I'll have to put this in the middle here. Here's the new Hemisphere GPS, and it's long and skinny because I think it's got 2 antennas in it. So it's got one at each end, and then it's got like a built-in IMU. So it's got some kind of so first of all, it's got the dual antenna GPS, so it gives you a static heading, and then when you feed that into they got some kind of EKF filter, some kind of fusion filter in there. So it's got a built-in IMU also. So it mixes all that together and gives you a heading. And this one is this is their newer generation. The first generation was GPS only, and this one now has GPS, GLONASS, Galileo, and Chinese Beidou. But for some reason, it's only using 2 of the satellite constellations, and I don't know why. Now on the bottom here, since we're Danfoss, we had to buy the CAN-based one. So this is NEMA 2000. So it's got a 4-pin CAN connector down here. And if you're not Danfoss, you can buy it with a serial connector, and you've got 1 or 2 serial ports you can talk to it. And this is actually meant for like marine industry. So that's where they use the NEMA 2000, and I'm not sure how accurate it is. It's supposed to have on the end here. It says Atlas. That's their correction service, and it's supposed to have. We supposedly ordered it with that, and it pulls the correction data right off satellites. But I don't think this is anywhere near RTK accurate. So I'm hoping I can turn that on and off, so I can take it out and drive it around, and then turn the correction on and off, and see what kind of difference that makes. And the whole reason I'm trying to put it on my mini tractor that I have here is that my mini tractor, I've got the antenna in the back that I can do RTK corrections. So it'll give me a stable latitude and longitude within a couple of centimeters. And I got the second antenna on the front, so I can get a static heading off that. So hopefully I can log the data from that and log the data from the hemisphere, and then go back and compare the two and see how far off, say your latitude and longitude, is it off by a few centimeters or a meter or 5 meters. So as I drive around, I should be able to compare it and see what that's doing. So I'll let you know how that works out. That's where I might have some more choice comments. We'll see what happens on that.
Looking good, Jeff. I'm curious on those new servos.
I wonder if you can add a pot to it. You just need to measure position, right? It doesn't have to be super resolute. It doesn't have to be super precise, like 1024 or any of that stuff, right? 1024 bit. It can be anything, any sort of resolution, right?
Well, it depends what you're looking for, I guess. And it turns out these already have. Here, let me turn this on again. It already has a pot built into it. There's a pot right on the back of the PC board right there. And it's probably got 5 volts on one end and ground on the other. So they're already reading the voltage off that with there's a little microcontroller on this board.
Okay. You just don't have the breakout of it. Okay.
And basically, if I just solder a wire onto the pot, I should be able to get the voltage off the thing, and then I can hook it up to whatever I want. So I can decide on the resolution at that point. And since I cut my resolution down from 300 degrees down to about 180, I'm throwing out about half of the actual resolution to start with. And then depending on what you hook it up to, if you use the original Arduinos, they had a 10-bit A to D. If you get something like a Teensy or anything that's got an ARM processor, those are 12-bit A to D. So if I've got 4,096 counts on the A to D, but I'm throwing out half of it, well, I still got 2,048 counts from one side to the other.
Seems like a lot. That seems good.
But as Matt was saying, we're going to check and see what kind of noise we get. Because I've tried this before, and it was noisy what I was getting, and both Al and Matt have tried to measure analog things and had problems with noise. So we just got to figure out, how we can get a decent signal out of it. And the previous one, the Super 200, has one of those sensors like Al's has been playing with. It's got a magnetic sensor. So basically on the back of this shaft, it just has a magnet glued back inside of here. And then it's got the little sensor that's reading the position coming off that.
Oh,
And
that
they're
can't be.
actually, and they're actually, it's putting out an analog voltage. You can also get I squared C out of it, which is what Al is using. And that's one I tried reading the voltage off from it.
What are you interfacing with? You're sending it back to an Arduino, or are you sending it to a Teensy, or what?
Right now, I'm using a ST Micro eval board, so it's a Cortex M4 processor, and it's got 12-bit A to D on that.
I really want the STs to be better. Like they are. I mean, Teensy's leading the way. I think I can't wait till the 4 gets really up to par. Meaning support is what I'm saying. Like the Teensys that exist, the support's amazing. Teensy 4 is new; it's not quite there yet. ESP32, just what it provides is just amazing. Why can't ST Micro? Why can't they just get one out there that's that close? It doesn't have to be $5, but like close, dang enough, right? It's just frustrating to me. The build path for an ST, it drives me nuts. What are you compiling with? Sorry if this is a tangent, by the way.
No, it's hard. I want to get the STs going, but I've only been able to use them over the serial, program them over serial.
Yeah, they don't make it easy, right? It's crazy.
I use the package that ST Micro puts out, so it's got an IDE and it's got the compiler and then the boards themselves. The boards I buy have a second microcontroller to do all the debug stuff. So you just plug it in over a single UART or a single USB cable, and then you can download code to it. You can go back at single step and breakpoint and all that kind of stuff right on the board. That's a $20 board.
How about all the libraries for like your interfaces, like I2C or interfaces or all that stuff on the board? Is that easily available?
It's got a lot of libraries if you can figure them out. And you can look at people's YouTube videos, and they'll basically just walk you through, everything that everybody else has done.
Yeah.
So they always take you through the simplest example. Well, that's never what I want to do, and you're trying to figure out how to extend it out to make it do something gets to be a pain. So that's basically just doing straight C code that with whatever their libraries are they provide. But almost any of these processors anymore, you can get an Arduino plugin. So you can actually get an Arduino plugin for ST Micro and do real Arduino code for it. And then as Matt was saying, depending on what your board is, you may or may not be able to download directly. And I think this board I've got, possibly you could. And then those little $2 ARM boards that's got like an STM 103 processor on it or something. And they're real cheap, and it's an older processor, but it doesn't have the extra microcontroller on there to do the debug and all that kind of stuff. So you can either get what they call an ST Link for another $3. You buy this thing that they've knocked off in China that you plug in 4 wires and you can download to that, but you have to get. My IDE didn't seem to understand that and talk to it, so I had to download yet another piece of software to talk to that. But I was able to go into the IDE and write my software and compile it. And then I had to pull up this other programmer software and point to the hex file, and I could download it that way on that on the cheap board. This big board, it's just you plug it in and you click download and away it goes. And they've also got a UART back channel that, so you say print and you can have it come out on a terminal right on your computer. I was using that, but I ran into problems where my processor seemed to be resetting on me. I finally tracked it down to the fact that the USB port, I had a Raspberry Pi and I had a USB hub and hooked to this eval board. Apparently the eval board's real touchy about its USB interface. If anything weird happens, it does something stupid. So I finally found out if I just run the eval board directly to a root port on my Raspberry Pi that it works. And I move my laser scanner out on beyond the hub. And it's still, I can see the USB errors are popping up, but nobody complains about it because it was just that eval board I think was having the problem. So I might even put just a actual UART interface on it. So, because I don't want that USB in between and just randomly doing something stupid to me. So if I run an actual UART, come off the UART pins and run through a USB to UART adapter, then I can run it, talk to it that way, and I don't have then anything in between that's going to cause problems. I hope. And I saw when I logged in, it said Walter popped up, and I didn't know how to know which Walter that was because the guy from New Zealand is also Walter, and he's the one that either 6 months ago or a year ago, he signed on just as we're getting ready to log off. He says, "Oh, I didn't know your time changed," and so that's why I posted that thing about the time change. And he says in New Zealand they don't do the daylight savings time, just like here a couple of states here in the United States don't do it. And I was hoping so much, 6 months ago when Donald Trump says, "Oh, we're going to get rid of that." I was hoping we would. I just find it to be utterly annoying. So anyway, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not New Zealand cool Walter. I'm just Utah cool Walter. But I do concur with the daylight savings time. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
get rid of it.
I heard Oregon's getting away from it next year. This is the last year for daylight savings time in Oregon.
Very cool. About dang time.
Yes. So at some point on those STMs, this is one more question down that line, but connecting a CAN bus to that, do you just use something like Cannibal, or do you run out? There's some CAN high lows. Do you use those? Oh, you're on mute, Jeff.
If you're coming right off the microcontroller, it's got the peripheral built in, but you have to put an external transceiver. So you got to buy a little $3 transceiver board, and you wire that up, and then it gives you a real CAN bus, and you can talk to it with whatever you want at that point.
Okay.
And speaking of that Cannibal, I found that if you push that too hard, it'll quit. And I was having pretty good luck with it. And then occasionally I'd have problems, and I switched to something else here, and it would go ahead and work. So I found that if you push that too hard, it'll quit on you. So that's just a note. Somewhere, if you look on their website, it says, "Oh, you can also load somebody else's software onto that." And it says something about if you really need it to run fast, or it works better for fast stuff, or something to that effect. And I don't know where it is. It's falling down and breaking, but that is something I noticed.
Okay.
And at the moment, the only thing I'm doing with CAN on my robot, I made my remote control receiver. I made that CAN because I was copying the one that we had here at work. And so it talks CAN messages from the remote control receiver over to the ST Micro board. And then eventually, since that's just a standard CAN bus between the two, I'll plug something like the Cannibal adapter in so my Raspberry Pi can see all the CAN messages. It can see them and generate them. But so far, I don't have that hooked up.
Yeah. I keep looking at that CAN bus and wanting to switch over to that, but it's a little bit of work to get all that going.
Don't you have the Teensy? Aren't you using the Teensy for yours?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought there was a CAN interface for that.
There is CAN also on that one. I think you have to have a transceiver, add a transceiver to that.
All of them are going to require, I mean, even the ESP32, I think it's got 2 CAN buses and you still need a transceiver.
Yep.
Having that put onto a board would be useful, huh?
Yeah, my remote control receiver has a Teensy 3.2 in it, and it's got the CAN transceiver, and that's how it's generating CAN messages.
Did you have to add an external?
Yeah, go ahead.
Anything
Okay.
that, if you want to talk CAN, you have to put a CAN transceiver on it.
And then which
chips
CAN
themselves don't do
transceiver are you using? Are you using like the L9616 or the MC?
I would have to look it up. There's
Okay.
a couple of them that, one of them, it just simply has power ground and transmit and receive. And there's another one that's something about, they give you like a voltage pin that you can set the levels or something in that one. I looked at that and decided it's not what I wanted, and I threw those back in the box. But you can get some that you just wire them up and they work.
I wish I had a box I could just throw stuff in because I have all these great things that you have, Jeff. It doesn't seem very nice.
Yeah.
I don't want that one. Get rid of it.
Looks like you got some room there. You can put a box in the back there and just start throwing stuff in it.
Oh, it's about to get better. I'm moving into a new house in December, and I've got room for projects and magic to happen. But I don't think we should go away from. I think we should use it.
Well, I want to go back to my statement again. Just because I talk about it doesn't mean that you should use it.
I
Anytime
love
I look
Can.
at it,
I love Can. Can's awesome.
Okay, well, I'm real happy for you. You apparently don't go out and buy a lot of things and try to hook up to it then.
I mean, I see your point. You're
going to find that the standards aren't really all that good across the board because you go out and buy something from somebody. And we bought an IMU from somebody and said, oh, we just made up our own protocol because we didn't know. So we just made that up. And then you got to try to figure that out, try to make it work. And then hopefully it'll work with other things you have that are already on the CAN bus. So, but you run into that all the time. And then somebody will say, oh, this is CAN open or it's J1939 or it's
right.
They got like 6 or 7 different various standards that may or may not be compatible. And usually at the lowest level, they're all compatible. But then if you try to get a CAN open to talk to something else, you got to figure all that out. And
yeah,
it gets ugly real quick.
Yeah, it's a pain. I like the idea of CAN being able to connect sensors and things along a a bus that you can identify. The idea of it is nice in theory, but you're right. The integration of people, they make it difficult because they want to add their stuff on top. But Ethernet, just do it all with Ethernet and serial. Like we literally just designed, I can't even tell you, I won't mention who I work for, but we are coming up with this particular thing that's going to do something. And the interface everywhere else is network, but the communication to one particular system, that's the overall system, they recommended it, and I would have suggested it too. They said serial. I'm like, did you say serial in 2019? And now I know it's okay. You guys know it's okay. But like for someone who doesn't really understand it to say that, you're like, okay, all right, we'll see what happens. But it should be okay. It was pretty funny. So on your Docker image, like we want to use Java as so they're going to build an app in Java that's going to communicate to this infrastructure that I'm going to encourage them, help them set up in ROS, right? Yeah. So ROS node, I've seen Java ROS or ROS Java. Do you know anyone that's ever used that inside of like a project? That'd be nice. And then I want to like put it onto this.
Nice. Look at that.
Dude, have you guys seen this thing? It's the RVR from Sphero. I kickstarted them back then this last year.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you what, this thing, like literally, it's got interface in it. Like you can put a Raspberry Pi on it, an Arduino on it. It's got the interfaces on the board. Like it handles like a lot of the base for you. And then you just have to give it the command. So I want to set this up as my demo. So the ROS core communicating to this Java app, and I want to communicate it down to a robot. And I was looking at the DF robot because that's what everybody does, right? Like a DF robot or something simple that has the motors and all this stuff. But I'm like, then I have to do interfaces and wire things. And let me just use this. Then have a Raspberry Pi sitting on top of it to communicate into it. I don't know exact interface. I have to look that part up, but I just got it like literally last week. So I'm pretty excited about that. So your Docker is going to come in handy in like a minute. Anyway, I mean,
That's
it's
awesome.
no tractor. It's no tractor, Jeff. Yeah.
I know. That looks good. You're just going to hook up like, so what's the interface into that base module? Do you just control motors left, right, or?
I think it's got that level, but it also probably has just I got to look and see, because if I give it a forward command, it'll actually recognize and it'll be able to keep its wheels in line. So I've got to look into the capabilities. I just literally got it last week, and I'm like working on this. I just got the idea for this project from another coworker, and I'm like, why would I want to build something when I could just leverage this guy? SDK is available. Right. I'll have to figure that out. I'll know in like the next week or two. We'll see. Sounds good in theory, anyway.
Okay. I like it. It's fun. There is a ROS Android, app. There's a few apps that are built so you can play around with those. Like there's already like a joystick and camera ROS control app that you can control. Like if you want to take a look at it, they're building that in Java, but if they want to take a look at some of those.
Okay. Because I mean, it's got some of the same
That
core
are
as
already-
Android's in Java, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Thanks, man. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I'm just very excited.
You're playing with robots. I
Oh,
called
man.
on a couple plows for the lawn tractor, trying to figure out what to do, how to move snow with that little thing.
How'd that go?
Well, I haven't picked them up yet. I haven't got a call back, but maybe thinking of a plow for the lawn tractor to be able to plow with that, or a broom. A spinning broom would be ideal, I think, but I haven't been able to find one of those.
Just make one. Seriously, man.
Maybe a craft project for the winter or something. How hard could it be?
Yeah, just some
weld
motors and
stuff
some
up.
brushes. Yeah, just like make it expand. Just make it go. It's no divot of voltage. Control it over here with a motor. We know how to do this stuff.
Yep. Piece of cake.
Oh, cynical. Life's too short, man. Build it.
Yep. No, have to do something.
So what is Juan up to? Juan, I haven't met you before. I'm Walter. Nice to meet you.
Hi, how are you? Yes, I was thinking that about the Docker image. I use it in the robot and in the simulator, like Mac. Sorry for my English.
No, you did use it.
No.
You did use it.
Yes, yes.
It worked?
I have a lot of yes, both of them. I have a lot of problems with the Python in my computer. So because I have a lot of installations, so the easiest way was going through the Docker image.
So you don't have no conflicting, right? It's not like 2.7 versus 3. You just have the
Yes.
Docker image with all that you need on it. Oh, nice.
Yes.
On Linux or Mac?
No, Linux.
Linux.
Ubuntu. Yes, and I have a lot of problems with pip. When I was trying to install packages, I have problems with pip. As I use the same computer for working, when I maybe in the weekend while I was working with the tractor, I solved the problem with the pip. But when I have to work in the office, I broke it again. So in the weekend, I had to repair it. But as I began working with the Docker image for the tractor, it was much easier. I think that last week I was having a problem with the because every time that I boot up, I need to do the the project in each of the windows of the terminal. So I found out that I need to put a command after, I have to put extend after the source bash.
And that causes it to load on boot?
No, when you do that, no, excuse me. I have to modify to put in the RC bash the extend command after the source bash. I didn't have it, so that was the problem that was causing that I need to do every time that I open a terminal with Terminator. I need to source bash each instance. So okay. I have a lot of problems when I was trying to run all the commands, the launch files, and all that kind of things. I need to do the source bash. But I think that last week I solved it. And now I was bringing a problem with the navigation, the launch file, and I think that I solved it. But last weekend here in Argentina was raining, so I couldn't use the tractor because I don't have a very good installation. I can show you photos of the tractor. Let me.
What is the controller you're using? Your laptop, and it's communicating to. Is this the one you helped with, Matt? You went down.
R5 TNC.
Yes, TNC. One of the problems that I have after mat leave was the working with the network too. I have a lot of problems with the network. I was listening the last meeting when Al was talking about the same thing when he tried to use the tractor and he couldn't because of the network. I have to isolate the network for the tractor, and I have to work a lot in that. Wait a second.
Just like the normal network set, just like your Wi-Fi signal was an issue, or on the computer?
No, I have a problem with the whole network.
Ah.
So I have to, I will show you. Today I was trying to, let me, like this. Do you see it in my computer? Do you see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, here, and this is the tractor. As a difference, I use this motor. This is a electrical steering wheel from a Toyota, to Corolla Toyota, and I will show you. I bought another 3 volts of this one, of the Citroen. He's bringing one friend of mine from United States to Argentina next week. Wait. Well, I'm trying to find, I have to build a router with a 12-volt battery. Here you can see that I was having problems. The first approach that we take was building it with zero tier, a VPN, but I was having here the zero tier. I was having problems. I'm not sure why, but until I didn't put the dedicated network or the robot, I didn't solve it. One of the things was that I wasn't being able to get the correction from the Swift Navigation RTK, and I have to put it through NEMA, through TCP, and that was one of the things that I need to build the network for, to get good communications and get the right information from yes, you can see here where I was trying to do the configuration of the TCP, the Swift navigation, but
the TNC setup. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't listen. What?
Oh, it's okay. I was talking. Sorry. So for your NEMA to TCP, what's converting that? Is that a TNC or something else?
No. The Swift navigation board. You can see here there is the TCP server. So you don't have to do nothing. It's very easy. maybe I lost, I think that 3 weeks trying to do a different thing, and this was much easier. But I was trying to show you the where is the router? I'm using a cheap TP-Link router with the DDWRT firmware. And I connect the GPS, the two GPS through it. Oh. I have a very bad connection, internet connection.
It's, you know, there's like a boy and his dog. There's a thing, and lots of tractor companies, like zero-turn tractors. My dad put a picture on Facebook with him on his zero-turn tractor. So it's like a boy and his dog, a man and his tractor.
Yes.
Or woman. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying.
No. But it was a very important. Well, here you can see one of the problems of the dependencies that I have to solve. That was and this is one of the things that I ended up using the Docker image, and I think that that's the future for ROS agriculture.
Wait, say that. You say about the Docker image one more time. I'm sorry.
Yes, that I think that that's the future because it's much easier. I think that for the common user, having that kind of problems with Python, I don't know how to say it in English, but here when you touch something, it's very manoseado. You have to touch too much your package of your Python packages, and that always ends bad. You don't have a good result of that.
I think they even in Python, you know, they started using virtual environments. And for my day-to-day work, I use Anaconda, and there's environments in there. So that's like the same idea as a Docker. A Docker, a lot cooler though, but you know, it's not just Python specific, but like it contains everything in one little thing, which is, you know, Matt's been selling it for years.
I didn't have good results with Anaconda and Wheels, and I think that I didn't because when you have the IDE and you work with the Visual Code IDE, you begin having problems with Anaconda and all that kind of things. If you don't have problems at the beginning, you will have problems at the end. But in some time, you will have problems. Here you have the router, this, and one of the problems with the Swift navigation board is that it doesn't have Wi-Fi connections. You have to plug it through LAN to get the NEMA. That was one of the things that I need to build up the routers. Like this. It ended like this. I have to put a step down and the router. But after I do that, here you have the base station and in the bottom on the left, and here's the tractor.
What's the distance that your field, like this test field that you're doing? How big is it? Like a meter, hectares or meters?
No, it's not. I don't think that that's very important because I'm working in a place that I have a lot of trees, and it's not the right place to work. Here in Argentina, you don't have a lot of trees, so if I go out to the country, I surely will have the double of the triple distance that I'm working now without problem. But I'm like working in a
1,000 meters or?
Yes. Okay. I don't think that I will have more than 1,000 meters. Maybe if I build that a tower, a little tower with a tube, for the Wi-Fi, I will get more. But you need to get the antenna a little high to get better.
Right. I'm trying to do all that I can to stop us from using GPS. I'll get there. Don't worry. Don't stop. Keep going. It doesn't matter for the ROS interface. It's just localization, right?
That's right.
Yes, but I'm a farmer, and if people see you that you are not working with GPS, I think that they don't like that. They need to see the GPS working.
No, you're right. I know.
They have a good position.
But if we could do it with, I mean, it's cool, and if it's easy enough, it's fine. It just seems like literally 2 years that's been a fight that I've seen. It's got to be an easier way. Not that we're doing it, and I know everyone's got to work it to their point, but someday there's got to be a better way because, anyway. Good work. It's really cool.
But it will be in the future.
Yeah.
I think that we are not so far of making this work, and expecting 2 years is a lot of time.
Yeah, I think you'll be quicker. You won't be that long.
I don't know. I hope so. I was trying.
Man, that's a lot of screenshots.
Yes.
A lot of work.
Yes.
Next year, it's just going to be tractor. Go plow that field.
That's right.
That's it.
No.
That's all you got to do.
Here we are like the Greyjoys in Game of Thrones. We don't plow. We are not nothing that we are working here is thinking in plowing something.
Oh, mowing?
Plowing the past.
Oh.
Voice controls will be cool.
Yes.
I'm just saying, Interstellar was a prophecy.
That's right.
Matt, do you have any kind of feedback about the work of Ross?
From Roscon?
Yes. Do you find other people from South America there besides the people of?
A couple. One person that works at Voyage. I've got in contact with him. But there's a lot of things that are happening in Ross. Ross is a big community and growing. So it's very impressive to see the work that's being done in different communities. One in particular, there was a lot of talk on fleet management now. Ross 2, obviously, but multi-robot control. And OSRF is working on an open source fleet management tool, which should be available within maybe 6 months or so.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. So pretty excited to see that. And we know it's been coming, obviously. Everybody's dealing with fleets now, but with ROS 2 and then some of these new tools, like multi-robots, maybe next summer we can start playing around with multi-robots and see how that works.
Do you get other people from South America there?
Yeah, I mean, there are different people. There were 40, so around 600 participants, maybe 589 or something. I don't know what the total count was, but around 600 from 42 different countries. And so people were there from all over. ROS is used everywhere.
But from Ross Agriculture, you find you find people from South America interested in that, like the people from Ecumen. There was somebody from Brazil.
Sure. Yeah, there are developers in Brazil. So next year, so kind of Roscon goes, Asia, America, Europe. And so this year it was in Asia. Next year it'll be in the Americas. And so maybe we'll see more. Obviously, we saw a lot more people from Asia at this conference because it's easier for them to get to. Likewise, next year when it's in the Americas, we'll probably see more people from Brazil and South America. I don't know who all was there from South America.
Okay.
So what's next, man?
Robots, building robots.
Yeah. Bunches of them. I think setting it up, making the deployment easier, right? I mean, your kit's kind of coming together pretty good. Are you going to update to Teensy, or what's the biggest holdup right now? Not that those two are connected. They're actually separate thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like the Teensy 4, maybe next year to the Teensy 4. But so far, I think the one thing we've been working on is to put the software together in a release, like an AgBot release, the software that we used at the AgBot Challenge. And so was part of the work with the Docker container. We want to get all of that software that we were used to be able to follow a path and then get that out on the Docker container. So that's been working. The Docker container works. One thing that isn't in that Docker deploy is the path follower with the pure pursuit. And so over the next few weeks, I'll be adding that, and then we'll have our AgBot release with all of that software will be done.
You're just releasing that to GitHub, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then the next piece is to harden the electronics a little bit, whether that's making our own printed circuit board or going around to other communities and trying to figure out how to harden the electronics a little bit, deal with the noise that's on the robot when the motor is running, different things like that, cleaning up the electronics.
Okay.
Maybe the electronics, that I was very afraid of them when you leave, it wasn't so much problem, because I thought that when you were leaving that the cables will unplug, and I wouldn't be able to replug it, all of them, but I didn't have problem with that.
Good.
Maybe I'm having problems now with the steering wheel that is not centered, but I'm not sure if that's the problem, because I think that I have to work with the other things besides being afraid of that.
Yep. Yeah, Juan's been doing work on the documentation, which is awesome. Like, how do you bring up one of these robots? How do you actually run a path with your robot? Al has got his, so he can drive around through Teleop now, so he'll be ready to start doing autonomous missions. But it's really trying to, I guess, make it easier to get this lawn tractor version, the documentation, the software, and the hardware kind of locked down, so other people can use it and follow along.
Makes sense.
Maybe the part of the board it's very important, because the wiring of all the parts is difficult. But if you come out with the board, preset board, it will be much easier.
Yeah, just drop the chips in there. You don't have all the wires going back and forth.
Yes.
Clean it up some.
Yes, and try to get, I don't know how to say, but to unify the voltage, because you have 3 volts, 5 volts, 12 volts, that will be a problem. So maybe only 12 volts and 5 volts, and that way will be easier. That was one thing that I was thinking about the other day, because when I bought I get another Toyota motor, a steering wheel motor, try to replace the actuator from the move forward, the actuator that move forward the tractor. And that's why I asked for my friend to bring me the Citron board too. So if if the actuator broke out, I would have an option, and I can keep on working, because one thing that I was afraid that was that the actuator will break.
Yep.
But the actuator the steering motor work with 12 volts, and
Yep.
the actuator we have it put it with 5 volts.
It's 12 volts.
Yes, but the Tinci deliver 5 volts.
There's a command signal, but yeah, like if you want to replace that servo that Jeff was showing at the beginning of the video, at the meeting, that
I
servo
will
is really
replace it when it breaks.
okay. Yeah.
Till it doesn't.
Yeah.
If it is alive, I will not replace it. I will expect till he dies.
Yep. All right. Well, looks like we're at the top of the hour. Are there any other comments for the meeting tonight?
No.
It's cool. It's
Sounds
great
good.
seeing everybody.
Yep.
Well,
You guys have a great week.
yes. Thank you. Bye.
Gusto. See you guys.
Bye-bye.